All right, let's quickly look at this JAMB question. The question says the equation of a wave is represented by y equal 5 sine 4 pi t minus 2x. And the question said that you should find the velocity of the wave. All right, now the first thing we do is that we bring out the given wave equation, the one given to you from the question, which is y equal to 4 sine 4 pi t minus what? 2x. Then what we do is that you will compare this with the standard what? Wave equation. Now, standard wave equation you'll be using is the one that said that y is equal to a sine 2 pi ft minus 2 pi x over what? Lambda. Now, this is what we'll be using to do your comparison. Now, but before that, you will now ask yourself, what is the formula for velocity? You will remember that under wave, the formula for velocity is given as velocity equal to frequency times what? Lambda, which is what? Wavelength. So what does that mean? That we go back to this wave equation, the only two things that we need to find here is frequency and what? Wavelength. And we do this by simple what? Comparison. Now, go to the standard wave equation. Where do we have frequency? This is where we have frequency. We compare it with what we have here. So I will now say that 2 pi ft becomes equal to what? 4 pi t. Then t we cancel t, pi we cancel pi. You'll be left with what? 2f equal to 4. Then you divide both sides by coefficient of f. When you divide both sides by the coefficient of f, you'll be having that f becomes equal to 4 over 2, which is equal to what? 2 hertz. So you have gotten your frequency. The next thing you need to find here is to find your what? Wavelength. Now you still go back to the standard wave equation. Where do we have wavelength? This is where we have wavelength. So we compare it with what we have here. Then I will now say that 2x is equal to 2 pi x over lambda. Then you now cross what? Multiply. You'll be having 2x times lambda to be equal to what? 2 pi x. Now x, we cancel x. Now you'll be left with 2 lambda equal to what? 2 pi. Always remember that the value of pi is 3.142. So you now be having that 2 lambda becomes equal to 2 times 3.142. So that you now have that 2 lambda, when you press the calculator, you'll be having 6.284. Then you now divide both sides by what? By 2. When you divide both sides by 2, you'll be having that your lambda is something around 3.142 meter. Now you have gotten the frequency and you have gotten the wavelength. Now you can now find the velocity. Remember the formula for velocity is what? Frequency times what? Wavelength. So you can now say that V is equal to frequency times lambda, which is 2, which is your frequency, times lambda, which is the one you got as what? 3.142. Now when you punch your calculator, you will be having your answer as 6.284 meter per watt per second.